The BRICS summit matters because global South states, while having deep partnerships with the United States, are looking for alternative institutions and alternative structures, in some cases, forming coalitions with US rivals. BRICS countries account for more than a quarter of the world's GDP in dollar terms. They are also 40% of the world's population. They bring together major powers like China and Russia in the same room as leading middle powers in the global south, which are India, South Africa, and Brazil. They are not seeing the sort of economic development, and they're not experiencing the sort of security payoffs that they would like in the existing US-led order. And that incentivizes them to look for alternatives. Their main drivers are economic development or catch up with the wealthy world. That's the primary driver. A second one, increasingly, is solutions to climate change. In countries that are poorer, in countries that are middle income, this presents even a greater threat. The US needs to up its game. The US needs to find newer ways of dealing with the global south. The broader idea of integration in trade and investment was actually a very American idea. We seem to have walked away from it. Increasingly, we find that if you go to Asia, countries are asking, where is the United States? We are ready to sign trade agreements, but you're not in the room. The US should also focus much more in terms of achieving the sorts of international financial structures, the World Bank, the IMF, and so forth, that actually make a very large difference in the lives of people around the world. The retooled World Bank can indeed win more goodwill in the global south. Increasing representation of these middle powers, especially in these international institutions, will make them feel that they are partners and not simply recipients of American largesse. So, reform of international institutions, returning to an economic game that America played very well, are two key things. Along with that, of course, is climate change. We have seen that in climate negotiations, the US has often lagged when it comes to owning up its responsibilities. Sanctions is another area where the United States needs to rethink very carefully whether it should go in for sanctions, especially that do not have the mandate of the United Nations, that are not in conformity with international law. It's not that the BRICS is going to revolutionize the global order tomorrow, but the pathway is clear. And I think the best example of that is where we are going in terms of expansion. Many global south states are applying to join. You don't see people applying to join a club if the club is going downhill.